Hello, and welcome along to the stream tonight. I hope that everyone is doing well. Hello, Maurice in the chat room. How are you? Nils, welcome along. Augusto, hello. Good to see you all. So doing fine, and you? I'm okay actually. I've getting back to a little bit of normality tomorrow. I have a dentist appointment, so that's gonna be fun. I was due to get a filling just before lockdown happened, and it got pushed back until now. So I'm going to go to the dentist tomorrow morning, so that'll be fun. We'll see how that goes. Yeah, fun indeed, eh? Not had a filling in a long time, so I don't know how that's going to go. But so that's like I say, back to a little bit of normality tomorrow on that front. I hope that everyone's doing well. What time? First thing in the morning. So our first thing in the morning. So our lunch hour is still good. There's going to be no problem there. That was in my calendar. Both of those things were in my calendar. It's fine. So what are we doing tonight? There are a couple of things that I want to look at. There was a PR raised into Chocolatey Choco this afternoon by the Cake is a Lie. I want to take a look at that, and I want to test it out to make sure it's working the way that we want it to. And if it is, I'm going to go ahead and get that merged. I could be talking a little bit funny, maybe. I'm sure it'll be fine. I want to get that tested out and get it merged in if we can. And then there is at least one open PR in the Cake.AliaSql repository that Nils has raised, and I want to take a look at that. And then from there, I don't know where we're going to go after that. So the one that I wanted to talk about first of all, it's kind of a new experience for me. It's running Chocolatey Choco on Linux, and you might think, well, why would you want to do that? And it's a good question, but there are some workflows where you would want it. So historically, Chocolatey has always worked on Linux/Mac using Mono, but we don't ship an official version of Chocolatey that will run on those environments. So there is a community member by the name of the Cake is a Lie who's been doing a lot of work in this area because it's something that he uses. So what is it? If you are on Mac or on Linux and you want to work through a workflow of creating packages, packing them, and pushing them, then strictly speaking, there's no need for a Windows environment. You can do all of that on Linux and on Mac. All you need to do is build it yourself. So you could build the source code you could clone out the repository, you could build the source code, and you could run Choco on your Linux machine or on your Mac. So what the Cake is a Lie has been working on is getting us to a point where we have an official Docker container that we can push up to Docker Hub. So if I look on my machine, what I've got, if I do Docker images here, we'll see that we've got this mono Choco base image. Now, this naming isn't fixed in stone, but it is something that we can start to make use of. So as an example, if I go over to the second tab over here and I run this quite scary looking command, but essentially what this is saying is run Docker in this location, mount that as a volume within the mono Choco image, and give me a bash prompt at the end of it. So if I run that, what we get is it's running. That's how quick it was. So I can run Choco at this point. And what we get out is, well, this is me running the latest version of Chocolatey on my Mac via Docker. So it's different from what you would see if you built it yourself. Because I've got some things set up in my environment, let's put it that way, because I've got some things set up in my environment, I'm running an officially signed version of the Choco.exe under Mono on my Mac on Docker. Now, if you were to build and do all of that yourself, you're not going to get an officially signed version. So you will be prompted to use the -- allow unofficial flag. And that's one of the reasons I want to get to a point where we have a working Docker image that we can push up to Docker Hub so that it's the official one. So you won't get bugged by that -- allow unofficial, and it'll work in the same way as though you had downloaded and installed Chocolatey onto your Windows machine. So all of that being said, why is this important? So if I were to cd into my packages folder that I have in here, then over the weekend I was trying to help out another community member who was having an issue with the dust package. There was an issue where it wasn't cleaning up a folder structure within the tools folder. So I was able to help him out, but what I was trying to do is I was trying to help him out on my Mac. So rather than having, why am I cheating? It wasn't dusted up correctly. I'm not sure why I was cheating, but I'll maybe come back to that. I was trying to help him out on my Mac. So rather than sitting on my sofa in the house, spinning up my VM that has Windows on it, I wanted to try and make everything work and test it out on my Mac. Now, what we found was if I run Choco Pack here, you are cheating with the semi-official. I am. Well, technically I am, because I've got the bits in order to make it work. But the intention is to get it to a point where I can ship that to Docker Hub. So what we've got, we've already secured the Chocolatey organization on Docker Hub. The idea being that once we're happy with it, that we can ship it up there and everyone can take advantage of this official build once we get it to the point where we're using it. So what I found when I went to try and run Choco Pack against the dust package was that there was an error. Now the error is a little bit of a strange one, and it says that this part URI is already contained in the package. Now, if you went and had a look in the Chocolatey Choco repository, and we searched in here for part URI, and we look in here, you'll see that this error appears, if you look at the full output log, this error appears when you attempt to run Choco Pack and where the nupkeg already exists on the file system, and it fails. But as you can see here, I don't currently have a nupkeg in this directory. I've just got the new spec file. So this is a different error. It's the same error, but it's a different symptom that's causing it. So I would like to say, so someone could create a GitHub action for AU based on the Docker image. There's no reason that you couldn't, yes. So technically there is already Docker images that will work with Chocolatey. And it has, they're just using the build, generating the unofficial build. But you're left with additional prompts in the output that basically explain that it's not an official build. So what I would like to get to is an official release that could then be used for something like AU potentially. Yes, absolutely. And it does everything it needs to do. So I would like to say that I was able to figure out exactly what this problem was, but I didn't. That was all down to Cake.AliaSql. He identified what the problem was. So if we go over here and we look in the new spec file that I'm trying to build, then we'll see in here that the structure of this is, here's a new spec file, and these are the folders and files. These are the files and folders that we want to build into that package, right? Now, what happens is that when you have a structure like this, Chocolatey will attempt to be greedy in the sense that any files and folders that exist in this folder when you run Choco Pack will be collected together and stuck into the resulting nupkeg. The reason that happens is because in this current situation, there isn't a files element. Now, if I were to put a files element in here, so if we go in here and we say files, that's obviously not going to work. We say files and we say files here, and I go in here and I say file where source is equal to legal slash let's star, and then we say that I think it's the target. Yeah, target equals legal. We do that, and then we do another file element here where the source is equal to the tools slash star, and we say target equals tools. Can't type tonight for some reason. And then we say this, right? So we've now got a files element. If we go back over here to where I was trying to do the Choco pack, then here the pack will work, he says. Yes, so the pack will work. So if we do an ls here, now I've got my nutcake, and the cake of the lie has just joined the chat room. So hello, I'm just singing your praises about how you were able to figure this problem out. So I want to test it out, and if it all works the way we expect it to, then I'll merge it and we'll be able to include that in the next milestone. Because Maurice is saying, I've tried to notify Cake on Slack, hope you can join, and he's joined. Look what the cat dragged in. Right, so the issue here is that, as the Cake.AliaSql found, is that if you don't have a files element, which is being very specific about which files you want to include in the nutcake, then Chocolatey attempts to gather up all the files that are contained in that folder and stick them all together. Now, what then happens is the age-old problem, where if we go back to here and look at the PR that was raised, oh, that's not the right issue that I'm on because it's all been merged already. Then if we look at the files that have been changed, it's the age-old problem where we've got a path separator that is the Windows-specific one rather than the Linux-specific one. So what this PR does is basically says, brings in this using statement so that we can bring forward this platform type.windows and the get platform method. So if the currently executing platform is Windows, let's use this as the path separator for collecting all the files together. And if it's not, then let's use this one that has the / rather than the \. Now, if we were to do that, then we should then not require the files element in order to build the package. So let's put it all back together. Let's go over here and let's remove the nutcake that I created here. Oh, it's dust 1, 2, 3. Let's delete that and put it back to the beginning. And if we go back over to code and we take these lines out, so we're back to the beginning. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to exit out of this so that we're not running Docker anymore. I'm going to go over here and I'm going to do GHPR list. So path.separator, I can't remember where that got brought in. So Chocolatey is in .NET 4.0, so that's the potentially the reason that we're using that. And there's also a consistency element to it as well. So we, throughout the code base, this is the strategy that we've used. So I think we'll stick with it, if that makes sense. So I'm going to go up in here and I'm going to look at the PR that was raised. So I can do gr PR checkout 2380. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to rebuild the Docker image, and then I'm going to rerun it and see if it's fixed the issue. And this is where I'm going to start to do things wrong probably, because this is still something I'm not really familiar with Docker, and I've been told reliably that I should just be able to rebuild the image, but part of me wants to remove it as well. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the image that I've got. So I'm going to remove that mono choco one. So if I run Docker images again, it'll no longer be there. Beautiful. Then if I come over to, so this part is documented on the website, but if I were to go over here and borrow this command, which is this one, and then onto there, I'm going to add some additional arguments, right? So what this is going to do is it's going to take the current source code that I have on my machine, it's going to build it, and then it's going to copy the output of that build into a Docker image, and then it's going to have that built Docker image on my machine ready to be used. So I'm going to kick that off, and we'll see that flying through. So at this point, what it's going to do is it's going to take the mono Docker image as the baseline. It's going to copy the repository onto there. It's going to do the build. It's going to run the build. So just run the build.sh as we normally would. So that you'll see uppercut starting there. So that's the build starting. And then once it's a multi-stage build pipeline that we've got for the Docker image. So it's going to, once it's done that part, it's going to take the outputs of that build and it's going to copy it onto another Docker image. And I'm going to get this terminology wrong. I always get this terminology wrong. But it's going to take the contents of that first part of the build and the multi-stage build, going to copy it into another one, and then that is ultimately what gets built and is shippable to Docker Hub. So the final artifact is not going to have all the source code for Chocolatey. It's just going to have the compiled assets in the right place for a Linux machine or and then from there it's fully utilizable and to do Choco Pack, Choco Push, etc. Marisa saying, I recently moved my NuGet Nexus 3 repo for my own Chocolatey packages from a VM to a Docker container on my Synology NAS. Works like a charm. So I have toyed with Docker running on my Synology NAS, but I've literally done nothing with it. I think I could use it to do more stuff, but I haven't really played with it, to be honest. I think I've got maybe one thing running in the background for my backups. I use a system called, I forget what it's called, but they ship a Docker image that helps with the backup of stuff into the cloud in the background, so I don't have to worry about it. It's not Veeam. It's definitely not Veeam. I can't remember the name of it though, but it's definitely not Veeam. It's something I've been using for years. So like I say, once this finishes, we should be able to run Docker images again. No, it's not that either. You're making me look it up now, aren't you? Hold on. It's called this one. Backblaze is what I use. Not Glacier either. Backblaze is the one that I'm using. Yeah, Backblaze. This is still running through, hopefully. So once this finishes, I should be able to run Docker images again, and it'll list the mono Choco image as available for running. And then if I flip back to my other tab, I should be able to run the exact same command that I did before, bring up a running instance of that image, and then if I run Choco Pack again, assuming that this fix that's in works, then we should be able to get a Choco Pack without having to specify the files element. So I'm going to run that as a test, and then as a final test, I'm going to put the files element back in again and make sure that the Choco Pack is still working after this change. And if all of that works, I think we can get that PR merged and ship it. Well, not ship it because we're not ready to ship it yet, but we'll merge it in, and I've already allocated it to the 0.12.0 milestone for Chocolatey. So if I come over here and I run Docker images again, then our mono Choco is back again. That's good. If I come back over to my other tab where I've got the Docker run command, I run that again, and then we cd into my C packages folder. So I've still not got a nutkeg, I've only got the new spec, and in there we still don't have the files element. So that's, we're not cheating. And if I run Choco Pack at this point, we should get a nutkeg. Says, there we go. Okay, good. So over here, we've got a nutkeg, and if we right click on this and say, where's the one for? Explorer. Why can't I see? Oh, there's some setting, isn't there? Oh no, Explorer's at bottom. So if I do this, then we should be able to see the contents. So we've got all the legal files, the license.txt and the verification.txt got copied in, and then the tools folder included just the Chocolatey install.ps1, and then you've got the package folder that's generated, and then everything else looks good to me. So that nutkeg is now being correctly created without the files element being there, and we're no longer getting that pack URI error. So let's go back in here and let's put that files element back in again. And then let's delete the nutkeg one more time. So we'll delete that. And then back to our command line, let's run Choco pack again. We should get a nutkeg again, which we do. And one more time into the breach. Let's clear the view there. Let's explore that one more time, and then just make sure that it's still got all the bits and pieces in it. It does. That is working. That looks like it's working to me. So let's go back over to our VM, and we'll say that this is good, and we can say that looks good to me. Prove that. Thank you for the cheer, Maurice. And what we're going to do is we are going to add a little bit of a note here. This was tested on my Twitch stream thing. Cheer that's no longer cheer. Yes, I don't, because I'm not what's the word? I'm forgetting what it's called. That wasn't partner. It was an affiliate. An affiliate. That's the word. Yes. Tested on my Twitch stream this evening. We did the following. So if we go over here and look at star Z0R, and we'll just point out the script using templates. This one. One used this folder structure test package. Note, add to the description element spec as this caused a different problem that we can maybe talk about once we've finished this. Ran the Docker image for Chocolatey and attempted Choco pack and got the indicated. Added files element to new spec and reran Choco pack. Everything worked as expected. Checked out ER branch and rebuilt Docker image in code. Ran Choco pack without files element and it worked as expected. Ran Choco pack with files element and it also worked as expected. we'll just leave that as a note to say that we did all those things and we've got some traceability. And I'm going to say that assuming that this is going into the develop branch, which is what we're targeting, I'm going to say that this is good to go. So merging, that will have closed off that one, which it did. So we'll do a quick note here. Thanks much for all problem. And you're in, hopefully you're still in the chat room. So yes, thank you very much for your help. I do very much appreciate it. And then if we go into here, let's just make sure that we've done all the bits and pieces here. So it's no longer in review. That can be marked as done. And then it automatically closed it, which it did. Oh, and I should mention as well that the Cake is a Lie also included admiring Worm or Kim in the commit message, because Kim had also found out part of this as well. So it was kind of a team effort all around, which was great. I already added that to the milestone, and what I was then going to do is have a quick, since the Cake is a Lie is here, let's maybe have a quick chat about the other thing that we noticed, which was if we go back to, let's remove the dust nut keg again, and we go back and have a look in here. So I've actually already modified this new spec file for other reasons, because if I put it back to the way it was, I'll need to make that change again. That's fine though. What did I change in here? That was me just messing around with it, so I can take that out and all those. If I go back into here and change this again to be 1.2.3, and if we attempt to go into here and run ChocoPack, so this is still using the Docker image that has the fix in it for the part URI. If I run ChocoPack at this point, then it's going to fail. But if you run ChocoPack on a Windows machine, it won't fail. But it gets this kind of obscure, unexpected end of file has occurred. The following elements are not closed, and then it goes dir, 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 and more, another dir, 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 and you're like, what's going on? But the difference here is that within line 33, it's round about here, you'll see that there are all these ampersand less thans. So this is the URI encoded XML kind of angle bracket, dir, dir, another dir, dir. So for whatever reason, the encoding of this XML file is then interpreting what is that as an XML element, and because there isn't a corresponding one of those to close it, it's saying it's invalid XML. But if you did this same thing on a Windows machine, it won't do that. So there's something a little bit different in the way that the ChocoPack is working on Linux under Mono compared to running on .NET Framework. And I have got no idea where to even start looking at that. And the last message that I got from the Cake is a Lie on Slack indicated that he didn't really have an idea of where to go next either. So it's a problem that I think we would want to solve though, because all of these little let's call them paper cuts. All of these little paper cuts in terms of getting the Chocolatey functionality working on a operating system other than Windows, we need to fix as many of them as possible, effectively. Because if we want this workflow to work, then a set of packaging scripts that are running and working on a Windows machine need to also work on a non-Windows operating system. So I did consider whether we needed a CData element, but it also, that doesn't explain why it would happily be parsed on a Windows machine, Now, I'm assuming that that's the case. I haven't actually tested that, but we could, I'm assuming that it's working. But if I were to go over to here and look, I don't think I've cloned this one on this machine, but if we go up to here and we go into cd, c, GitHub, people, and then I don't think I've got, no, I haven't, so let's do make dir star z0r, cd into star, and then git clone this one. So if I were to grab, not a code space today, if I grab this and go over to here, and yeah, Jinx123, we both had the same idea. If we cd into here and we cd into source templates, what version of Choco have I got on here actually? Let's do a, I haven't got the most recent version. Let's do a Choco upgrade, Chocolatey. For those that don't know, we pushed out a new version of Chocolatey. We pushed out a couple of versions of Chocolatey. That's a story for a different day. So if you haven't upgraded, make sure that you upgrade to the latest version of Chocolatey. One of the main reasons for doing that was a security-related finding with the log4net dependency that we have. So if I go into code on here, and that's been addressed obviously. So that was something that affected all of the Chocolatey products because we use log4net pretty much everywhere. If I go into the dust one here, I look at this new spec. I don't have them on this one. Let's just change that there. So same new spec file, same usage, etc. And if I go over here and I run cd and dust on here and I do a Choco pack, then it successfully creates it. So there's something different between how that XML is being handled between mono and on .NET Framework. Maurice is asking, I'm on 11.1, should I upgrade? If you are doing anything within your, if you're doing anything with packages you're creating or consuming packages that are making use of attempting to send an authorization header to one of the Chocolatey install commandlets for the purposes of authenticating to a source for downloading a binary, then yes, you should upgrade to 0.11.2. We introduced a bug in 0.11.0 where we believed we were fixing the authorization header, but we actually broke the authorization header. So yeah, I would upgrade if just in case. Gusto saying the fact that it's working on Windows would seem to be a bug. Any XML path parser should require proper encoding of the tags or a C data. But I think part of the thing to throw into here though is that we accept Markdown into this element. So this is actually being interpreted as Markdown. Now, I believe that's being done within the once it actually renders it. The fact that it's working on Windows would seem to be a bug. Any XML parser should require proper encoding of the tags or C data. Should I upgrade to Chocolate? But the whole new spec is XML file. The Markdown is inside. It is correct, yes. So the Markdown is contained within the description element. So to answer Maurice's question, should I upgrade Chocolatey Agent as well from 0.12.0 to 0.12.1? What did we do there? Yes. You should. There was a security related finding with regard to CCM, and where it will add sensitive information into the CCM, the log file that's stored within CCM. So that's addressed in that version of Chocolatey agent. So 0.12.1 addresses the fact that those sensitive parameters won't make it into the log file that CCM stores. So let's make sure we're all talking about the same thing. So it is encoded in the sense that it's now URL encoded. So the angle bracket has been encoded because it's not a straight up angle bracket. So technically, it has been encoded, right? So it's not as though we're putting XML reserved elements into the XML element, correct? The question at the end of the day is, do you have, well, that's, so how would I, how can I, where would I go to validate that? Is there such a, is there a website where I can validate XML? Where would I go to ensure that that's, is my XML valid? That's, okay, so which one's which? So XML validation was the first one, and then w3.org. Okay, let's do both of them. So let's go to this one, and let's go to validator.w3.org. Beautiful. Validate by direct input, and then this one, sure, and then we'll put it into here. Let's do this then. Let's grab all of this, copy, 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 pasty, pasty, paste, and then validate. Validate. No errors were found according to xmlvalidation.com. And if we put it into this one and we say check warning, oh, hold on. W3 has warnings. Yes, it does. So this document appears to be written in English. Consider, okay, fine. Error. Saw probable cause attempt to use XML processing instruction in HTML. Okay, so why is that a error? I don't understand why that would be an error. And then line 1, bad value for XMLS name. It seems to be lots. Hold on, let's just take. Looks like this is an HTML. Hold on. Okay. New HTML. Am I in the wrong one then? What was the URL that I was sent? Jinx. Did I go to the wrong one? Validator.w3. Markup validation. Okay, fair enough. So according to XML validation, it's valid XML. So let's do at least one other one that's an XML validator. Acceptant, well-formed XML documents. Check your syntax. Let's paste this in here. Control A, paste. No errors found for syntax check. And then let's paste in this one. Oh, hold on. No. Let's do this one. Paste. Check XML. No errors found. Okay. And then, so Maurice has gone ahead of me, which is the liquid validator, or the liquid technologies validator. and then in here, paste I'm not a robot, validate. Oh, we could also do that, sure. Go over here, do this. Let's copy paste this into .xml, sure, and then over here, and you're saying if I drag and drop this into here, XML file does not appear to have any style information associated with it, so that means it's good, right? But it has switched those over, so it's no longer got the ampersand less than. It has made it a dir element, so it's potentially the case that something is then misconstruing that as an actual element. It's rendering correctly, yes, but it's also rendering the encoded angle brackets as brackets, and I'm then wondering whether something in the code is then interpreting that as an actual. Correct, yes, Nils, I agree. But I'm wondering whether whatever we're doing and how we're parsing it is then interpreting it that incorrectly. When using AU, would slap that into a C data element though. Well, we should test that out then. So let's do let's see if that does actually make it work. So if we were to go over to our other Visual Studio Code, which is here, and then let's go into the description and let's do. Now remind me, it's C data, isn't it? XML C. No, it's more complicated. It's data stuff. So let's grab this, paste that in there, and then square bracket. Towards the end of the description element here. Let's hit turn on that, and let's do square bracket, that one. Okay, so we've wrapped that in a C data element. Save that, and then we go back over here and we run ChocoPack again. Then it will work. So the example that Maurice brought over, bring this in stream as well, was this one. Yeah. So is this a non-issue then? I mean, I'm more than happy to say that it's a non-issue. So actually, let's just check if we were to go to any Rails 6, copy this and go to community.chocolatey.org// and let's just make sure that this is rendering how we expect it to. So this is nice, bold. I just want to make sure that it's actually rendering correctly as well. So nice and text, got thing up there, DM'd, and then it's got bold. Okay. Are there different XML parsers in place on Windows and on Mac? I have no idea, Nils. Yeah. On a side note, that was my first Choco package back in 2018. There you go. Time flies when you're having fun, Maurice, eh? Oh, I just realised I never put the lights on. Oh, I can't put my lights on. They're not working. Never mind. So the suggestion there then is that we would go back to star0r and we would send in a PR to his packages where the description element is being filled in without a C data element. Yes? So we would come into here and we would do a PR that says wrap this entire thing in C data element. Okay, I'm happy with that. So if the Cake.AliaSql is still watching, I don't think we need to dig into that particular problem. I think we just ignore it. So where we were getting unexpected end of line, blah blah blah, it's a non-issue. Perfect. Okay, so we're on the same page. So with that done, I think that's the only open PR that was left for me to do immediate things with. There are questions around the equivalent Docker image, the Windows version, because there's still potential for wanting to have that as well. So the thought process there being that you maybe don't want to have Chocolatey installed on your own machine, but you could still have a Docker image running that would have Chocolatey and all the bits on it to do all the other things that you'd want to do in the same way that you can on Linux or on your Mac. So there's a PR, a draft PR up for doing the creation of Windows-based image. It does it slightly differently, and there's then a open conversation about how we handle the tagging for putting the actual images up onto Docker Hub. I can't even. I'm not going to log in here. There's a question mark over how we tag things, so it becomes it's clear as to which one's which and which one you would want to use. Stefan Scherer, who works at Docker Hub, he chimed in on the discussion around that. I haven't followed up with that again, but I did ask Stefan to chime in to give his tuppence worth since he works for Docker. He's in a position to help us with that one. And I'll dig into this later on and see if I can fix it. But since there is a good workaround, it's not a high priority. Perfect, yes. Where is Manfred when you need him? For which part? For the Docker stuff or for the Windows stuff? So while you're here, the other issue that you raised with regard to adding a config option for selecting a default template, I think that's a good idea. I may spend some time on a future stream getting this added because I think it's a good idea. Has he? I mean, there is one already. I mean, if you go to Docker Hub, I mean, Stefan showed it off at Chocolatey Fest. So this is Stefan's version of it. I forget where I linked to it from here. Docker file here. So this is what Stefan does. Now he's subject to the same. Well, no, so he does it slightly differently. This version doesn't have everything already on it ready to go. Whereas what we're shipping to Docker Hub is one that has all the bits already installed on it. The way that Stefan's one works is when you first run Docker run, it will then run PowerShell on that machine to then go and install Chocolatey. What we're intending on shipping is a fully baked, all ready to go. Doesn't need to do anything. You just run it, and it's already got Chocolatey and all the bits on it, ready to go. Yeah, so Manfred wants something slightly different. So Manfred would like Chocolatey Central Management running on a set of Docker images. Now there's technical limitations that are preventing us from doing that currently. Now, let's not get into that. There's technical limitations that are preventing us doing that at the minute. That's something that's on my long-term to-do list, is to fix that. But what I was going to say was this one here, the cake is a lie. I may dig into this on a future stream if you haven't already started digging into it, because I think that this is a good idea. So what this is referring to is, if we go back to my thing here, if I do choco new-h, then what you'll see in the output, in the examples, is that you can say, where's, let's maybe not got an example, but you can say choco new -t or -t or -template, where you can say, if you run Choco new, it'll use the default template and it'll stub out a package based on that. But if you've got other templates installed, you can then do Choco new --template zip or --template MSI. The issue that's been raised here is the ability to set a Chocolatey config value that says, actually, this is my default template. So when you then run Choco new, you would use that one rather than the default one. Now you can get around that by replacing the default template by creating a folder that is the default, then putting your things in there, and it will overwrite the default one. But that's work. So if you've installed a package that is the default template that you want to use, then you should be able to run choco config set default template name equals, and then the name, and it'll just use that going forward. There. So yeah, if you wanted to leave that one with me, I think that would be a good candidate for something to play with on maybe next week's stream, because it should be a relatively simple addition, because it would just be another argument added to the option set for the choco new command, and then if the -t or the -t or the -- element hasn't been passed in, then we put that in if it's been set. There is another PR where I added testing information and is ready for a re-review, but not sure if that's what you're asking about. And certainly have a look. 2242. Oh, it must have error 2242. Right. Yes, I did. I hadn't forgotten about it, but I'd forgotten about it. Let me remind myself what this was. No, so this one I think would need a little bit more testing, and a little bit more thought processes into it. So I'm not going to do this on stream tonight, but I think I'm with you on this one in terms of what we're trying to get out. So in principle, I'm okay with this, but I would want to test it out a little bit in more detail, and that's why I asked you for some additional information as to how to test it. So this is something that we are going to be asking for going forward in all of the PRs that are coming into Chocolatey. So we're working on a pull request template that it'll stub out all the headings. We do this for our issues, but we're going to do it for thank you very much for the follow, Sepantan, appreciate it. The pull request template will have things like what the motivation is, what the context is, and then what are the steps that you did, not to reproduce the problem, obviously, but what are the testing steps that you did? Because that has a benefit in two ways. One is it proves that the person who submitted the PR has really? So nothing's changed on my side. again. So I don't know why you didn't hear the Foxy sound, but nothing's changed on my side, and nothing changed when it started working either. So I'll need to spend some time digging into that at some point. So the pull request template will include things like what steps did you run to test this. Now that has a benefit of providing insight to the person who is reviewing the PR that these are the things that were done to test the PR. Now, the benefit there is that we can then look to see, well, we've forgotten something. So the person doing the review could look at the steps that were done and say, well, actually, we need to test this additional thing. So let's go back and let's add that test. But it also kind of proves out that the thought processes has gone in terms of knowing how to exercise the code that's been changed, to then be in a much better position to accept the PR. So that's why I push back a little bit to say, well, what did we do, or what did you do to test this out? So then I can reproduce that on my machine, independently validate that it does what's expected, and then maybe say, well, actually, what happens if you do this, or what happens if you do this? It leads into those questions. So like I say, that's something we're working on, but we haven't quite got it to a point that we're going to ship it. What we are going to be doing is creating a .github repository in the Chocolatey organization so that those pull request templates flow down through into all the repositories within the organization. So let me come back to that one on that one. Is that the only other PR that you have up at the minute? Yeah, it's about the cake is that one. There's the draft and there's that one. Okay, cool. The whole thought process around the Docker image has kind of been, for the most part, single-handedly driven by the Cake.AliaSql. I've just been facilitating and getting it merged in, and ultimately I'll be able to ship a official version once we get to a point where we're happy with it. So if there are any other kind of quality of life improvements that you want to see from a Linux perspective, now's the opportunity to get those in, so that when we ship it, got a semi-reliable working version that can be used on Linux/Mac under Mono. Okay, so that was that one. And the other one I wanted to look at was Nils has been busy making some changes into Cake.AliaSql. So there's at least one PR out there that I wanted to take a look at so that we can get it merged in. Close off some of these. I'm going to write a note to myself to follow up about CData on that repository. Let me write a note so I don't forget it. Follow up with star ZOR about the data element in spec. Right, I've written that down. So that was this one. That's where we want to go to next. And then on. In fact, I'm going to do this while I remember. I'm going to say that we want to do this. So I'm going to take this. I'm going to say that this is ready and that this is enhancement, and then this in 12 miles so that it's there. What are you showing me, Maurice? Oh. Oh, are you kidding me? Yeah, but I fixed that. Or I fixed it in at least one place. How come that didn't come up in my search? There's at least one other place where that was included and I fixed it. Why did that one get missed? You're ruining my evening here, Maurice. Was that in the docs? I was convinced I'd fixed it. Why can't I see the one I'm looking for? Zero 11. No. Third item from the top. Seriously. One, two, three. No, I fixed that. I fixed that. No, I swear I fixed that. No, I did. Don't do that to me, Maurice. I did because I saw that and I thought, no, that's going to be wrong when we ship it. No, I fixed that. I did. Where did I fix it? I did fix it. I fixed it somewhere. I know I did. That's gonna bug me. Nah. I'm going to go and find something now. All before the thing fixed. Go. Bear with me a second while I go and look for something. Corrected version number. Hold on. See? Hold on. Oh, hold on. That was for something different. Hold on. Which one you sending me? Yeah, that's one I just found. But I only do it there. Annoying. That's annoying. I knew I'd done it somewhere. No, it's a good catch. Yeah, we should address that. So if you want to put a PR to fix that, Maurice, that would be good. But then, if that's on the docs, did I? Oh, that's a. Yeah, that's. That page is not. I'm just what's going through my head just now is whether that page is automatically generated, and it's not. So, yeah, it would be a PR into both Chocolatey Choco and onto Chocolatey Docs. So on that note, what was going through my head just now is no is the answer to that question, because we no longer have a stable branch anymore. Well, we do, but we're no longer using a stable branch. We're now using a develop and a master branch, which is more in keeping with the other repositories that we have across the organization. So we're having a more consistent repository structure across the different Chocolatey products. So this is a documentation PR that would flow out in the next release of Chocolatey from the develop branch. So you would target develop, yes, because we're not going to put out a hotfix just for a documentation change, but we would put it out in the next release from the develop branch. So if you target develop, that'd be good, and then you could target master on the docs repository, and we could get them to flow through from there. That's annoying because I knew I'd done it for at least one of them, and I caught it. I don't know why I didn't do a search for 0.10.16 across the code base. So yeah, that's disappointing. It may make sense to revert back to the built-in default template and display a warning if the template specified as a default is not found. It may make sense to revert back to the built-in default template and display a warning. Yes, that's a good idea. Yes, absolutely. Want issues or just a fix branch code dot wrong one. Yeah, I don't think we need an issue for that. We could just mark it as a documentation change and add it directly as a PR. We don't need a just maybe put information in the commit message to say what's been done. We don't need an issue for that. Thank you for catching that. So annoyed with myself. Anyway, different day. So the other thing I wanted to do was now technically it's not wrong in the sense that it's saying that it's available in 0.10.16 plus, which is true because it's shipped in 0.11.0, but it's also there never was a 0.10.16. So yeah, them's the breaks. Yeah, the one I was going to look at for nils was, but it's got a plus at the end, Maurice. So it's technically. Technically, I was going to look at this PR for nils, which is to fix a broken unit test on the cake.AliaSql. So let's grab this. So I'm going to go out on a limb, nils, and say I've never fully understood what the yield command does. So I'm not the right person to provide any input on this. If you're happy with it and the test works, then I'm happy to merge it. But I don't really have any additional input on what to do. So if you're happy, I'm delighted, is what I'm trying to say. Because I'm assuming that the problem, so let's talk through the problem that was raised, and then if anybody else has got an opinion, we can share it. So unit tests are broken on Linux, so I've got a Mac that I can build on. So if we go over here and look at this, then the unit test on Ubuntu says, so the test must be saying, we expect there to be a call to a specific method, and that method was never called. So if we look in the unit test, what it's saying is, which one? It's the should use AliaSql runner from toolpath if provided. And then that test, which is should use AliaSql runner from toolpath if provided. FP full path equals expected. arg.na process settings. So given that, Oh, that's not showing me the rest of it. So, right, okay. So given when then, given the fixture that is the AliaSql fixture, given settings toolpath exists, run the fixture, and then the fixture.processRunner.received.start should have that full path contained within it. It broke because the C paths are not absolute paths. Yes. So the test before was inline data. Here's C colon, and the toolpath in the expected is hard coded to look for a C colon path, which obviously doesn't work on a Linux machine. So what Nils has introduced is if the platform ID starts with win, as in Windows, then we're doing a yield return of C colon with the C colon. Else, it's using a path that will exist and is usable on a Linux-based machine. And this is the part I don't get. How does it get down here? So this is the part I don't get, and I'm happy to admit it. But what does the yield do at this point? Is it essentially saying we're going to return this, but we're also going to continue with the rest of the method, which then takes us down here? So on a Windows machine, we would get this one and this one, and on a Linux machine, we would get this one and this one. Okay, okay, okay. That makes sense. I think that makes sense. I guess. I mean, I guess the way that I would have probably been inclined to write it would have been create a new IEnumerable and then, or create a new list that implements IEnumerable and then add this one and then add this one and then return the list. But this means you're not newing up a new instance of something and then you're returning two instances, one based on this condition and then the default one is added at the same time. So I guess I'm maybe just a little bit old school in that regard. But yeah, I mean, I've no objections to how this has been implemented. This makes sense to me. So I'm happy to say ship it, because I'm assuming that the PR build succeeded. So oh no, it still failed on something. So the appver build failed. The appver build failed. Why did the appver build fail? That's failing on Git version. That is failing because, oh, that's a known issue, isn't it? No, we updated this to the latest cake recipe, didn't we? So I don't think this is a problem. I've seen this happen when the PR branch, if you force pushed into the PR branch, it can get confused, which you haven't done. It's not the latest. No, I'm happy. Let's selection is generic. It's just for the use of the IEnumerable. Enum.getName type of platform ID. That one starts with when. Yeah, I'm okay with this. I'm going to say viewed. I'm going to say then we'll come back to the annotations. I'm going to say that looks good to me. Approve, submit, and then I'm going to use my hours that say Choco gadget. Delete the branch, and let's just quickly watch the action. I'm going to say why is there two of them, but we've added the code.ql analysis into the develop branch. That's why it's running that. I saw that Maurice had put up a PR into docs, so let's have maybe a quick look at that too while we're waiting on that build. So up here, github.com, Chocolatey docs. Posts. CodeQL is also funny. ... First, when creating the PR to allow Chocolatey exit on reboot detected, it was planned to be in 0.10.16. That version number release changed to the next version number, which actually look at that. That looks files change is there to there. That was good. So let's do that. Do that, and then what we will do is we will auto merge. So once that PR completes successfully, it will merge that in, and we'll say thank you very much for getting this corrected. Beautiful. Okay, so that's in. So what should hopefully happen there is that here, and we look at configuration, and we look at 0, 10, 15. Is it done already? That's quick if it has. Or am I looking in the wrong place? Or maybe look at the page. What was the... That wasn't the page that you said, was it? Find it. Create functions is here. I got it again. Here. Say that one. So it's still there at the minute, but if we do this, give it a minute, that will flow through in just a minute. Close that one through, still there, give it a sec, and then you the one through. That's warning. Longer than we would like to go through, but we'll back to it in a second. So the Ubuntu build has worked this time round. So with that change in place in else, that is happily running that unit test, and it's working. Now I'm going to have to go and look to see if it's put the stuff in properly. And by the time I've gone there and come back, it's going to have worked. How it goes. On what? I thought it was... Oh, the merge has happened. Sorry, I'm a complete idiot. Yeah, you're right. I was getting ahead of myself. So the merge is... I don't know what I was thinking there. But yes, the docs build is still running, and it's obviously not going to appear until that has completed. I was getting ahead of myself. So while these PRs are running, let's go back over to here and look at pull request that Maurice has put into Chocolatey Choco, which is this one. for the Choco PR, only waiting on app PR. Yeah. So this one, getting the PR to planned. So it's the same commit message essentially. What we've done is change the README template, which is this one. Say that this looks good to me. But what we'll do, we following. So typically we don't add PRs onto a milestone, but since this is just documentation one, we'll add this in. That PR wants that. So we've got PRs all over the place. Okay. Into develop branch. Beautiful. Good. So we've got 37 minutes left. What do we want to do for the next 37 minutes? Third PR in each. There you go. Third PR. You should have kept it. You see, we haven't actually discussed that within the team. I was going to say, Hacktoberfest is coming up in a few days. You should have held on for 4 days, and then those 2 PRs could have been contributions to your free T-shirt for Hacktoberfest. As it stands, you're going to need to find some more stuff to do. Is everyone taking part in Hacktoberfest? Hacktoberfest. The rules from last year are still going to be in place this year. So to try to prevent spam PRs, repository on GitHub now has to opt in to taking part in the Hacktoberfest challenge. So we on the Cake team will be adding those tags into the repository. So the way that that looks is, if I recall correctly, if I go over here, cake build cake, or we maybe didn't do it on this one, but we definitely did it on the website one, or we maybe removed it again. You have to add a tag in here. So you add a tag into the repository indicating that it's accepted. PRs would be accepted, and then if they're valid, they if a maintainer then marks it with an additional label that says everything was good, or it merged, then that will count towards your contributions. Or a maintainer can actually flag a PR as being invalid, so that it won't count towards your contributions. Cake.AliaSql is saying, yep, I've done Hacktoberfest. I've made lots of PRs with improvements to various community packages. I did it quick enough last year that I got in before the new anti-spam rules came in. So I've taken part in Hacktoberfest for, I want to say 5 years. I've done it the last 5 years running. So my intention would be to take part again. Neil's very selfish here. If we have the time, a quick look at sure. I mean, I want to kind of sit and babysit these PRs a little bit, but yes, we can definitely do that. So that PR into the docs repository has now completed. So if we go to the docs repository and we look at the GH branch, we should now see a commit from there. And then if we go into here and do docs.chocolatey.org, but the cake is a lie. So I need to speak to the team, but I would like to enable the Chocolatey Choco repository into Hacktoberfest. So if there's more stuff that you wanted to add as PRs into Chocolatey Choco, then feel free to have at it. So I've already forgotten what the website was again, but if we this over and paste this into here, then I'm going to see it's still saying 0.10.16, but if we open up developer tools again and a hard refresh, there we go. So 0.11.0 on the site now on the doc side, and then the README template will flow through in the next release, which is 0.12.0. So we've done that one. Done that one. We've done that one. This one failed, and the macOS build failed this time. Well, that's not particularly useful. Why do we not have a log from the build project? Strange. Yeah, so the PR build for Chocolatey Choco is done. So I'm going to say, let's just quick sanity check again, just to be sure that really all we're doing is adding or updating the README template to say 0.11.0. Okay, so I'm going to say merge that. That was the, yeah, it was. We're going to say Reese, thank you for thank. NuGet is broken currently on Mac. Thank you very much, Jan. Appreciate it. Yeah, I didn't think I was going to do it, to be honest. Oh, you did? Well, thank you for approving it. Yeah, I didn't think I was going to get. Well, I knew I was going to get under the 30, or I knew roughly I was going to be there or thereabouts. But I ran the first kilometer, and I was like a 5.5 minute kilometer, and I felt good, so I kept on going at that pace. And then actually, my last kilometer was my fastest kilometer. So yeah, I was quite happy with it. I wanted to start another plan to see if I can get lower in the timing, because Maurice is now telling me, not Maurice, sorry, Manfred is now challenging me to try and get under 25 minutes. So I'm not sure if I'm going to get to that stage anytime soon, but we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I was happy with it. Thank you for that. Yeah. My challenge for me is to get my 10k under 50 minutes again, together with the glucose challenge. Nice. So I mean, as part of the training plan that I was doing, I'd asked it to train me to do a 5k, but it actually had me running longer runs as well. So I was doing I think the longest one was like a 13-kilometer run, but I don't really enjoy the longer runs, if I'm honest. That's why I'm going to stick to 49. That's a good time. That's a really good time. I don't really enjoy the longer runs, so for the time being, I'm going to stick to the 5-kilometer runs with slightly longer runs just to get the miles in my legs. So yeah, I didn't have any plans on doing a 10k runs at the minute, but my own personal PB for a 5k is 24 minutes 24 seconds. So if I could get down to that again, I would be happy. But like I say, Manfred's challenge. He did a stupid. I don't know if you saw Manfred's time. He got a really fast time. I've got some. He's a lot younger and a lot lighter than me, so he's got all those things going for him. So I will struggle to keep up with him. And then I saw a message from Nils about another PR added incubator. Who is? Because this is actually Scott. It was Scott Mackay that the owner of this one. So what is it? Look, .NET 5 not recognized. Oh, I remember. Okay, I did read this one. Net 5 should be parsed as a net core target framework instead of net framework target framework. And all the code paths that include a conditional on isNet core, the wrong branch is taken for net 5, trying to treat it as a framework CSproj file. One point here is that net 5.0 is not matched as .NET Core. The other is that there is no isNet or isNet 5 plus or something to that. It's missing entirely. Additionally, looking at the regex, the task framework target framework moniker for Windows Store, netcore 4.5 would be wrongly recognized as isNet Core. And on a side note, the regex seems awfully complex for the task required. But that's the whole point in regex, isn't it? You write it once and you never read it again. So, so description: simplify the regex to parse task target framework moniker. Added a regex to match net 5 as plus TFM as 4. Interesting. Okay. Oh, I see. And then, okay, yes. And then there's a comment here saying target framework OS identifier may also include a version. Example in the docs shows iOS, which wouldn't match that. Good catch. Okay, let's look at the changes. A way of turning these off at the minute. I don't want to see these checks. File. What is there? You check on. I don't want to see them at the minute. So the parser, project parser extensions has got what's happened here. We've added in a regex parse options that are compiled and ignore case. We've added in an additional net 5 plus target that's matching on this. And then you simplified this to be net core app, net standard, and net. Right, fine. isNet core is then any net core target framework is matching that, or okay, so that part I agree with. So really the proof of the pudding is going to be in the regexes, but I'm assuming that there are some unit tests being added which covers those. Yes, Maurice, talk to you tomorrow. Thank you very much for your help tonight and for those PRs. So what we're saying is, fact, for target framework moniker net 4.5 isNet framework is set. So what we're saying is, here's an example project where the target framework is net 4.5.1, and then, oh, I see what you did. Okay, so we're saying isNet framework should be true, agreed. isNet core should be false. isNet standard should be false. Absolutely, that makes sense to me. And then for target framework moniker net core app 3.1, isNet core should be set. So we've got project group target framework moniker there, and then we're saying isNet framework should be false, correct? isNet core should be true, and then isNet standard should be false. Also agreed. For TFM net standard 2.0, net standard should be set. So net standard 2.0, net framework should be false, net core should be false, net standard should be true, agreed. And then for TFM net 5, isNet core should be set. Okay, target framework net 5 is net framework should be false, net core should be true, and net standard should be false. And then for TFM, net 5. So this is one of the expanded ones, which is what was mentioned in the comments. We added a test around that. So should be false, should be true, should be false. Beautiful. And then TFM net 6 iOS is net core should be set. Is net core true, false, false. Okay, that makes sense to me. Why did we remove these tests? Is that just because they're invalid, or why were those two removed, Nils? Why were those two lines removed? Okay, so we haven't added a new property which is specifically for above, and that makes sense, I guess, at the minute. They were parsed before, but now. Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay, no, okay, that makes sense. Gotcha. So the regex, if I were to read it properly, then it is looking for digits dot digits. Gotcha. Okay, as opposed to any word. Okay. Okay. Agreed. So based on the existing tests and based on the new tests that you've added all still working, I think this looks good to me. So I would be happy to say looks good to me. Approve, submit. Waiting for status to be reported. Did these not finish, or have you just pushed this again? No. Do we think the GitHub build, isn't it? So the action. Sure, why they have. Sure either. 15 days ago. One job completed. Oh, only completed on Windows. So, I mean, is there a GitHub workflow build? Huh. It only happens on Windows at the minute. So, oh, I might want to fix that. Do you want me to hit the merge button, or do you want to merge it? Where's this targeting? This targeting develop. I mean, I'm happy to push the big red button. Do it. Nils, thanks for getting fixed. Are you planning on shipping a new release of this one? Seems like there's quite a few PRs. I see you've got some other stuff in here. Okay, well, let me write some of this down. So you had, so review PRs in cake.incubator. Have you got any other? Have you done any other work that needs reviewed? Because I mean, I'm happy to review them. I just need to kind of keep track of what's being actively worked on. So I know that you were working on Cake.AliaSql. I then saw that you're doing stuff into your cake-contrib.guidelines project. I've got no objections to you shipping a new release. Yeah, absolutely. Like I say, if there's ones you want me to specifically take a look at, then I'm more than happy to look at them. So, for example, you've got a new build over here. added CIs for get builds to work on GitHub Actions on OS other than Windows. So what have we done here? We have added a lot of files changes here. Hold on, hold on. Review PR into, hold on, cake-VS code. That's one for Augusto, and then review PRs into cake.recipe. Let's maybe finish off this one. So this was moving away from Windows latest to pinning to a specific one. That makes sense. This is if it's not Unix, then add net462. Okay, fine. Cake.testing, fine. Source designer. I'm assuming that's just not needed anymore. Parser test. Added more stuff here. Okay. Create fake files. Fake file. File system. Okay, fine. File name. File. Down here. And then fixture. Oh, this was a change to fine. Oh, because they had a specific implementation that is now included in the updated version of cake.testing. So a lot of these can go away. Fine. Testing extension. Create fake file. Beautiful. Create fake file. There's file. File system. Connected. Replace. Okay. Dump returns not. Pressing change. Yes, fine. Big file. Or project. Big diff. Here to look at that one. Same thing over and over again. There's a lot of copying and pasting and replacing on this one, wasn't there? That's a big old file. The C colon. Lovely. Okay. And file. Feels like a formatting thing. Fine. We deleted that. Deleted that. I went to replace new line. a new line. Oh, a new line plus T. Okay, fine. Fine. And then we went through this one, which isn't marked off. Okay, I think I'm happy with that. Approve. No. Did you want to rebase? Thanks. Okay. 30 minutes. So that was that one. And then have a quick sanity check of this one. Update cake.contrib. Remove the icon. Boost those. Move this one. But I will add my tuppence worth as well. Fine. Changing that to be comma separated. We removed the package icon, but we added it where? I'm confused. It does it, yeah, it does it by magic, doesn't it? It does it by magic now. Again, one space, other part is included as well. And then the other ones are just bumps to dependencies. That's an older one. Let's not worry about that just now. Magic voodoo. Okay, so let's have a quick look at the other one that was mentioned, and then I think I'm going to say that that's closed for the night. What did I miss in VS Code? That's 17. The 0495. Fix incorrect link generated for VS Code extension. Marketplace publisher defaults to get 13. Oh, hold on. Absolutely get that fixed. Into develop branch, into here. Marketplace publisher. Oh, we should definitely get, yes, we should definitely fix that. Yes. So what we need to do now is we need to ship a new version of cake.VS Code. So I'll need to change that. Ship new version of cake in VS Code. It's on my list. Sorry, Goose, that one completely fell off the radar, I'll be honest. And that's purely because it's one of those convention-based build systems that's conventionally based on me. So if you don't override it, then yeah. Hey-ho. 476, is that included on a milestone? No. So let's have a look. Which one? Where are we at? Visual Studio Marketplace. Here. Come on. Searching here for cake. Here. Right the way it went to. Here. Okay, so that is the next one. So we'll stick this on here. What have we actually got in this bar? Okay, so that is that one. Okay, fine. So there's a couple of things to do, fix, finalize that, but hopefully we should get that sorted out. I'm going to say that we can, well, hold on. So technically speaking, that should go into a hotfix branch. If we are going to do this as a 101, that should go into a hotfix branch. So I've got it on my list to review that PR. So I'm happy with the PR itself, but let me look at what actually needed. We might want to create a hotfix branch and then retarget this PR onto there. So I've got it on my list to follow up on that one. Let me leave that one with me. So there was those, and then there's two open in cake.recipe. GitHub.com, cake-contrib, cake.recipe. 9 open PRs here, but I'm assuming that they're ones here. Specify the full versions of GitHub.actions, modified resolution. What's that for? So the only tools from the tools folder are being, not some random tool in the system. Also modified resolution of NuGet so that only NuGet.exe is searched and never NuGet. The reasoning being that the required tool NuGet.command line will never install a tool but always use. Okay. NuGet.exe. But what if that someone's already got NuGet installed, not via the NuGet.command line? Not clear on. Publishing fails on Ubuntu when NuGet is installed on the system. The problem here is the usage of the require tool not registered, which skips the installation of a tool if the given tool is already present on the system. So for this case, NuGet is found under there. NuGet the command line is not installed and the system NuGet is used. I think we should adapt to require tool registered so that tools are not searched by querying context.tools.resolve, but rather by manually searching only the tool's location. Additionally, I feel that since NuGet the command line does only install a NuGet.exe and never a NuGet, all calls to that one should be replaced with that one. Okay, I can be convinced about that. The part that I'm now worried about, not worried about, that's the wrong way of putting it. Tools.cake, action, require tool, not registered, var tools, get directory, get tool path from there, searching for tool in tools, context.get files at tools folder for name will not found firing. I see. Okay. The installed NuGet did not support the. Yes, no, I understand that part. So I mean, the kind of problem that you're describing here is something that was voiced a while ago, and that was basically the concept of almost like a cake.doctor add-in, where you specify ahead of time, these are all the tools that I need and these are all the versions that I need. And if based on how things are resolved, one of those requirements isn't met, it fails the build before it even starts. So it's kind of an upfront check that happens before the build executes. And in this scenario, given the way that the tools were being resolved, NuGet would be found, and then you would run whatever command that's needed to assert the version number of the NuGet that was located, and then you compare that against the requirements for the build, and it would halt the build if it didn't match those, or it would additionally search other locations and then say, well, actually, do you want me to use this one rather than that was found first? But that's a much wider discussion. So let me. I've written this one. I've got this written down as well. So let's. Seems like we've got the next few PRs or the next few streams set up. Okay. I'm not going to do any of those tonight, but I've got them all. Review PRs in cake.incubator, review PRs in cake.VSCode, review PRs in cake.recipe, and then ship a new version of cake.VSCode, cake-VSCode. Lots to do. Okay, leave those with me. For now, I think I'm done. Happy with what we got done tonight. I'm forgetting what we actually did. We reviewed some PRs into Chocolatey Choco from the Cake as a Lie to get to improve some quality of life improvements for running Chocolatey on a Linux or Unix or POSIX based system. We then had some follow-up PRs into Chocolatey Choco and Chocolatey Docs for an omission that was shipped in the last release, which was indicating what version number a new feature got shipped out on. So Maurice put in some PRs to both of those to fix those. Then we were looking at some PRs in Cake.AliaSql, and we got those merged in. And then that led us down a path of lots of other PRs that I've been tagged on that I have subsequently missed and forgotten. So need to get those. So I've got a list now that I can look at and work my way through. Those might be the topic of some upcoming streams, but I'll try and get to them through the week as well. So for now, that's me done. Thank you very much for hanging out as always. And I'm going to say that's a wrap. But thank you all for hanging out, and I will talk to you on the internets. Thank you very much. Bye bye.